Into A to Z Sports Prime Time on a Sunday night. I hope everybody had a fantastic weekend. I hope you enjoyed the college baseball, because that's certainly what we're going to spend some time on over the course of this evening's show. We are going to talk Vols. We are going to talk Vandy. We're going to talk about two baseball teams, two squads that have very much earned their trip to Omaha, Nebraska for the College Baseball World Series. It's incredibly exciting. We're going to get into both teams over the course of tonight. We will also do, this is a free site, the best thing that I saw on the internet this weekend. A lot of good content coming to you from two incredible baseball teams. Before we get rolling here on a Sunday, I need you guys to share this show across Facebook Live, Periscope, YouTube, and Twitch. Get your people involved. If you're with us on Twitter, retweet the show in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. If you're hanging out with us on Facebook Live, it's very simple. It's share now to public. That is how your Facebook friends get involved, and they can talk balls themselves if they so choose. If you are hanging out on YouTube or on Twitch, it's quite simple. Subscribe to the A to Z Sports channel, throw the video a like, and you can continue to come back and hang out with us here on A to Z Sports Prime Time. And now that more of you are here, we can begin the show officially and laugh at Arkansas. Welcome into A to Z Sports Prime Time on a Sunday night from the DraftKings Sportsbook Studios. I'm your host, Buck Rising, and I'm proud as always to be presented to you by Two Rivers Ford, a name you know, a brand you can trust since 1983. Two Rivers Ford in Mount Juliet or online at tworiversford.com. DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app. Get in on all the action with the promo code A to Z Sports, like college baseball, for example. Promo code A to Z Sports in the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Gary Ashton and the Ashton Real Estate Group of RE/MAX Advantage at GaryAshton.com. It's a seller's market, so you want to make sure you sell for more with the Gary Ashton team. Gary Ashton and the Ashton Real Estate Group of RE/MAX Advantage at GaryAshton.com. Brymac Mechanical, BRYMAK, Brymac.com. Satisfaction guaranteed on each and every one of your HVAC needs. Okay, Walter Williams on Facebook Live says, we did it. Go Big Orange. Man, credit to Vanderbilt, credit to the Vols. Two incredible sweeps, both in dominating fashion. Vols with a little more drama on Saturday afternoon, but today absolutely shelling LSU. We are going to talk about these two teams that are on their way to the College World Series. One of them, technically, the defending national champs, the 2019 Vanderbilt Commodores, the last team to win a College World Series. Now the 2021 team will try and make a go at their predecessors. So the question that we have, El Boogie 808 says, don't really pay attention to college baseball, but with Tennessee in, I'm in. And that, I think, is going to be the case for a lot of people. This has been, and it's a testament to Vandy's, continued consistent greatness. The Vols are the hot new thing on the block. I mean, they're not really new. Tony Vitello's been around a while, but certainly this level of success is new. So we're going to pay tribute to both of these entities tonight in two different ways. King Mofaka says, no sounds talk. They had a few home runs today, but took the L. Well, then why would we talk about them, King? You got to be winners to make it on the primetime show. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get things going with your Two Rivers Ford take. Who had the more impressive super regional sweep this weekend? Was it the Vandy boys or was it the Vols? Both took their series 2-0, didn't screw around whatsoever. Who had the more impressive super regional sweep? Let me know in the comment section on Facebook Live, on Periscope, on YouTube, and on Twitch. We will discuss at length together here tonight. Vandy boys, says Nicholas Carr, more dominant pitching. I think there's definitely a case to be made for both, and I will get into that. But there's no question, Nicholas, and we'll spend more time on Vandy's pitching specifically later in the show. Kumar Rocker, I didn't get to see the majority of the second game. I watched the first game because it was on I watched the entirety of the first game because it was on in the studio while I was doing my radio show. And just to watch Rocker mow them down inning after inning after inning, the dude, I mean, the changeup that he throws is absolutely disgusting. He is, and him and Jack Leiter. Leiter, has had a few more mistakes this year, but both of them damn near unhittable. But we'll spend more time on Vandy's pitching later in the show. I like the Vols more, but Vandy looked better in my opinion, says El Boogie 808. Who had the more dominant series win? We'll get to more of your comments. I'll give you my answer. You'll hear from both Tim Corbin and Tony Vitello momentarily, right after I tell you about the people who present the Two Rivers Ford Take. That is, of course, Two Rivers Ford. That is where you go for the Ford Blue Advantage program. It's incredibly good and smart for you to take advantage of the Ford Blue Advantage program, because not only is Two Rivers Ford the best place to buy a new car, but they're also the best place to buy a used vehicle. So when you go out to Two Rivers Ford, you know that they have almost 40 years of an excellent reputation, a non-commissioned sales staff who's not going to put any pressure on you. They have one job and one job only, and that's to help you find the right vehicle for your lifestyle and your budget. The Ford Blue Advantage program means that the pre-owned vehicles that they offer you at Two Rivers Ford have been fully inspected, they come with a warranty, and they have 24/7 roadside assistance, just for that extra peace of mind. So if you're looking for a used car, truck, or SUV, go see my friends at Two Rivers Ford. They are in Mount Juliet, just 7 miles east of the airport, or online at tworiversford.com. Who had the more impressive super regional sweep this weekend? Of course, Vandy and the Vols both hosted. Juicebox 678 says the Vols played a more quality opponent. Chad says game 2 of the Vols was incredible. Vandy didn't seem to hit very well. I mean, listen, the Vols' ability to hit home run after home run, the way they started it off today and the way they ended with 15 runs, I mean, they absolutely crush the ball. It's incredible. Vandy's strength at this point is their pitching. You have the ability to steal bases as well. I'm blanking on his name. Is it Bradfield? I'm blanking on the guy for Vandy who is such a prolific base stealer. Perhaps you guys can throw me the assist there. But I do think that these two teams are different in the way that they dominate, but they both dominate in some form or fashion. Tennessee played a better team, says Austin the Trick, put 15 on them. D. Kelly 0034 says the Vols. No one watched Vandy play. That's not true. Be nice. Enrique Bradfield Jr. Thank you, Nicholas Carr. I appreciate that. I was blanking on his name. Vols going 5-0 against LSU this year, says Walter Williams. So that's outside of the Super Regional Series, because that's, of course, what we're talking about. But he's not wrong. Like the Vandy and East Carolina was always going to be overmatched in this series. It doesn't make what Vandy did any less impressive at all, but it certainly was a taller task for the Vols to be able to overcome LSU, because I do think that going into that series, I didn't necessarily feel great about their chances. I thought that they were the better team, and I know that they have had regular season success against LSU, and certainly they're in the Tigers' head based on Paul Maneri's comments, the now retiring LSU baseball coach, longtime LSU baseball coach. But certainly I think they posed a bigger threat to the Vols than maybe Oregon might have, which would have been their other super regional draw. So the Vols, I think, had the more impressive sweep just because of the quality of the opponent. Not to take anything away from East Carolina, but LSU was definitively better.
Yeah, the administrative people here, Greg was the main guy. They communicated well to us what was going on, so we kind of had a decent idea of what was going to happen. So there was never going to be a long enough delay where we'd consider switching, but also it would have had to be really, really long because I can't coach pitchers like Frank, but you go out on the road, you scout them, and I did coach them for a few years. You kind of can see when a guy is locked in to the point where it's almost like he's not going to let anything happen other than what he wants to. And Chad kind of had that look to him. And obviously he's not invincible, and he's facing a really good team, but he just kind of had that look of determination. So I think really that was an easier decision than it was to leave him in to finish his final inning. But again, he kind of facing Coach Bianco's son. I mean, he just kind of had that look like he was in get it done mode tonight, and he certainly was. And once again, our guys followed.
So that's Vols baseball head coach Tony Vitello talking about, that's from game one of this 2-game series sweep, super regional sweep that the Vols had over LSU. I do think them to have the more impressive win, even though Vandy absolutely dominated a good East Carolina team. We'll spend some more time on that here in just a second, because I don't want it to sound like I'm denigrating what Vandy did this weekend. We'll spend some more time on Vandy coming up next. But that clip is from Tony Vitello after game one, talking about leaving the pitcher in during the rain delay and how they felt it was the right decision, and how that team really responded to the way that Vitello has kind of brought them along at this point. 111 Keith says, Buck looks like he could be Tony's nephew. Listen, Tony Vitello is a good-looking man, so I will take that as a compliment. Thank you, Keith. It is much appreciated. Brandon Roberts says the Vols are just a solid team across the board, not great at any position. They are peaking, which is most important. I think there's a great deal of truth to that. Now, the slugging has been there really all year long. I think that's probably their best attribute at this point. And I thought that LSU would be able to threaten. The pitching with LSU was the noted weakness coming into this game, and that's been giving them problems against Tennessee in all 5 of the games that they played against them over the course of this season. But I do certainly think that it was the more impressive. They were both impressive, and they both sweeped. But the University of Tennessee, this Vols baseball program, and Tony Vitello was about to get the bag, had the more impressive series sweep over the weekend. We'll get into it more at length, and if you guys disagree, feel free to push back, because I see Nicholas Carr pushing back on the idea that Vanderbilt should have the more impressive victory. Nicholas, we'll get to your comment here in just a second, right after I remind you about our friends at DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app. That is what you find at DraftKings Sportsbook. You can get in on all the action using the promo code A to Z Sports. I love using DraftKings Sportsbook because it's easy to navigate. There's plenty of instructions for new bettors and nearly limitless ways to get in on all the action. My friends, my family, they've been loving DraftKings Sportsbook, and I know you will too. DraftKings Sportsbook is putting you courtside with a chance to turn $1 into $100 in site credits. All you got to do is download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app now, right this second, and use the promo code A2Z Sports when you sign up to turn $1 into $100 in free credits. Bet on the basketball team of your choice to win their next game, and if they do, you will claim $100 in free credits. That's promo code A to Z Sports for a limited time only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Must be 21 or older. Tennessee only. Wager paid out in site credits. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text the Tennessee Red Line 1-800-889-9789. So who had the more impressive win, the more impressive series, the more impressive sweep? Both teams getting it done. The state of Tennessee in baseball right now is so strong. I mean, Vanderbilt is, of course, the most famous of these two programs and one of the most famous programs in college baseball. Certainly the Vols have exploded onto the scene, and they have a very passionate fan base that seems to lift them up further, maybe further than they sometimes deserve, to be honest with you. I think it's an incredibly impressive feat for either team to get to the College World Series. But I think that Vandy fans are right to be a little bit peeved that, the Vols bust out the way that they do. And because the fan base is just that much more rabid, that they kind of supersede all of the greatness and the consistency and the winning that Tim Corbin has done, or that all kinds of goes out of mind, at least in the local sports market, because there's a hell of a lot of, there's just a lot of Vols fans, man. Because Nicholas Carr says ECU was a seeded team, and so that should make Vandy's sweep more impressive. I think that Vandy has the superior talent. I think that Vandy was always going to be favored. I understand that ECU is a very, very capable team, but against Vandy, they largely looked incapable. Now they gave them a little bit of the run for their money in the probably like the first 6 innings of game one, but after that, it really wasn't close in terms of the level of competition, and the pitching for Vanderbilt just overwhelmed. We'll get to more on that here in just a second. Danny Whitson says, I think, and yes, I'm biased, but the Vols are better all around defensively with power batting while still having above decent pitching. Vandy is closer to all pitching comparatively. I don't know if that's true, Danny. I appreciate you admitting your biases on the front end, but at this point, I just look at this and I say, that it's just. I mean, the level of rocker and the level of lighter is unlike anything else in the sport right now. I don't think there's really anything. I mean, you're saying it's closer to all pitching comparatively. There's nothing comparable to those two players right now. They're damn near unhittable. The Vols definitely, says Juan, off it and on fire, but not to diminish Vandy experience and savvy. Clay Phillips has tweeted me that I'm a suck up because I went with Vols over Vandy in terms of the impressive win. Listen, the Vols are new in terms of this level of success. So they're probably going to receive more attention right out of the gate. Tim Corbin's been doing this. This is his old hat. Blooming Gators says Vandy is hot at the right time. I've seen this before with Vandy teams. They have what it takes. Well, that's a great transition, Blooming Gators, because that is what we are going to talk about coming up next. The question that I have for you guys in that regard is, who has the best chance to win the College World Series between these two teams, Vandy or the Vols? Let me know in the comment section on Facebook Live, Periscope, YouTube, and Twitch. We will discuss at length which of these two teams from the great state of Tennessee who are going to represent us well. They are going to make Tennessee. Now, it sucks. It really sucks that the fans can't go and the media is not they're not going to be like opening ceremonies for the College World Series. It's really, really unfortunate the way that they're following strict COVID protocols at this point. I do not want to diminish the seriousness and the care with which they're taking. But I also think that based on where everything else is going in the country, that it would be okay to have the opening ceremonies in some form or fashion to allow these players and their families and, a small percentage of the fans to be able to appreciate the accomplishments. But the College World Series has already said that they will not have open practices for fans or media. They will not have opening ceremonies. It's going to be fairly sanitized in Omaha, which kind of stinks. But, such is life at this point. Who has the better shot at winning it all at this point, though? Now that they're both on their way to Omaha, who do you feel the best about? Because I think there's going to be some recency bias with the Vols, but as somebody brought up earlier, experience and consistency for Vanderbilt and exceptional talent cannot be slept on at this point. Let me know in the comment section on Facebook Live, Periscope, YouTube, and Twitch who has the better chance to be able to take the College World Series in hand. While you guys weigh in with that, I'll tell you about the Ashton Real Estate Group of RE/MAX Advantage at GaryAshton.com. That's where you go for your dream address without the stress. That's where you go to sell your home for more, because this is 100% a seller's market. And the Ashton team will tell you that they will help you put your market up for your house up for maximum market value. And while you are in the process of taking advantage of this crazy market, they will make sure that you are in a position to get into your next home without all of the hassle that everybody else is having to go through right now. Gary Ashton, the official real estate agent of the Titans, the Preds, and A to Z Sports Prime Time. The Ashton Real Estate Group of RE/MAX Advantage at GaryAshton.com. Just because they're new doesn't mean they don't deserve to be celebrated for what they're becoming, says Ben Hall. No, I didn't say that at all, Ben. Listen, I'm giving love to both teams tonight. I think I have never enjoyed college baseball. I went to Indiana, for those of you who don't know. Some of you are new to the show. I went to Indiana. Indiana, when I was in college, was in the College World Series. It was Kyle Schwarber who won a championship with the Cubs. He's now a terrible player for the Nationals, but that's not relevant. Sam Travis, they had a really, really strong pitching staff. They didn't win the College World Series, but they went, and it was spectacular. And I went to Omaha, and I still did not enjoy the experience of watching these two teams because of the significance of what Vandy is and what the Vols are new on the scene of. I had so much fun keeping track of these two teams throughout and to be honest with you, I paid a lot more attention to the Vols regular season than I did with Vandy, just because they were the more intriguing at the time. And there's a larger majority of people that want to talk about the Vols. So that's just kind of where I divvied up my time, because I knew that I would see Tim Corbin and the Vandy boys come postseason. But honestly, it's tough to take your eyes off either of them for different reasons, and something that we're going to get into now. Who do you feel has the best chance to win the College World Series? David Arnold says the Vols. El Boogie 808 says now that Arkansas is out, Vandy is favored to win. Well, Vandy, the best team in Vandy's side of the bracket at this point is Arizona, and they could still lose tonight if I understand correctly. Just kind of keeping tabs of what's going on. Arkansas losing is way better for Vandy, without question, than it is for Tennessee. Texas is still on the Vol side of the bracket. But again, Arizona is the highest ranked level of competition that Vandy would have to play at this point, and that bodes well for them. Texas is still a really, really good team that Tennessee will have to best. Please let the stars align and let Vandy and UT meet somewhere. I would love that. That would be so. I would honestly see if we could go to Omaha for that. I don't know. I haven't talked to Austin and Zach about that, or my radio station bosses, but I think it would be worth it. So maybe we'll see if we can't make any progress on that during the week. Don't tell them. Let me tell them. Vols, because what I seen them do in the rain and the play, says Shanna. Listen, the rain games were so much fun, really so much fun. Even though the rain delay, kind of slows things down. It's one of the biggest beefs I have with baseball. It's just the time that it takes to play the games. But college baseball is so much more of an exciting product than the pros at this point. Kumar and Rocker have been Kumar Rocker is the same person, Charles Hardaway, but I assume you're saying Rocker and Leiter at this point. I'm a Vol, and I'm going to say we are going to take the chip. Stacy says the Vols. 111 Keith says would like to see the Vols win. Vandy pitching, however, is deadly. And that's the correct answer, right? Like, I think there would be more of you want to see the Vols pull it off, but I don't think there's any question that the pitching for Vanderbilt is what's going to dominate and what gives them the best chance to succeed. Also, Arkansas got the hell out of their side of the bracket. That's going to make life a lot easier.
It is. I mean, it takes a strong focus to play very clean baseball. This game is difficult, and to come in and get two very well-pitched games and to play defense outfield and infield and behind the plate. I forgot to mention C.J. Rodriguez because someone asked me about that. His catching is outstanding. The ball stays in front of him the entire time. And the thing is, it's like a good umpire, a good catcher. Sometimes you don't notice them, and the reason being is because they're so clean in what they do. But from Brownie calling pitches to the pitchers executing the pitches to CJ catching the pitchers, that's a triangle that has to be very good at what they do. And I give Brownie a tremendous amount of credit. Sitting in his seat is very hot. But when he calls a pitch, it has to be executed by the right guy, and then it has to be caught well, and CJ does that. But I think, just from a defensive standpoint, we've talked about pitching defense all year. It's really what gets you to this point right here. If you can hit, that's kind of icing on the cake, but you have to do these two things first, especially this level of baseball, because the margin between the teams is so thin, and the kids are tough. They're tough, and I appreciate their toughness.
That's the legend. That's Tim Corbin talking about his pitching, but that would be my answer as to why this is the better equipped team between the two of them to be able to take the College World Series. Now, they'll see some stiff competition. As I mentioned, Texas and Tennessee is going to be interesting. We'll see what happens with Arizona later on as that game kind of comes to a conclusion based on whether they could still lose or not. Juan Offit says, and because I've asked you guys who has the better chance between these two teams to win the College World Series, Juan says Vandy because of what he previously mentioned, experience and dominant pitching, but I feel that the Vols could join the party, but Vandy is focused around this time. I would love to see the Vols, though. Okay, Juan is going back and forth, but he's saying, I think ultimately, that he believes in the Commodores at this point. Let's see. I think Vandy has better 1-2 pitching, says RTR 100. Without question. I mean, there's no better 1-2 in the country in all of college baseball right now than Kumar Rocker and Jack Leiter. There's just nobody. There's nobody doing it better. There's nobody doing it at a higher level. Texas is currently down 2-0 at the moment, says El Boogie 808. Okay, something to keep an eye on as we wait to see how the rest of the bracket around Tennessee and Vandy fills out. But for all of the reasons that we have seen, Vandy have such a consistent, just such consistent success at this level, I think that this team kind of got out of the way, or got out of the what's the word I'm looking for? They got out of the shadow of the 2019 team. I feel like and Vandy does it so well and so often that you don't necessarily feel that effect. But it is a difficult proposition to kind of live up to the hype of your predecessor. Now, I understand there's been a significant amount of time passed because of last year's College World Series being canceled. So the 2019 Vandy team is the last team to actually win this thing. So you're still kind of working in the shadow of your predecessors. Now, I think this team has kind of created their own brand. I don't think there's necessarily the kind of top-end star power on this Vanderbilt team that there was the 2019 team, but I still do think that they dominate in ways that set them apart from the rest of the competition. Jack A. Gentry of the Tighten Up podcast says TD Ameritrade caters to pitchers as well. Vandy has to be the favorite. Not that he's biased. Enough with Vandy. The Vols are going to Omaha, says M. Wakefield. Listen, hey, I understand that you guys have an innate hatred of one another between Vandy and the Vols, between Knoxville and Nashville. Like, there is always going to be that in-state rivalry. There should be. I think there should be more hate in sports. But I got to tell you, my brother, you got to give credit to both of these. I think as long as they are not playing each other, I think you got to be rooting for both of them, because this is what this whole show tonight is about. This is an incredibly fantastic day and weekend for the state of Tennessee as it relates to college baseball. And I know, that's not the sport that most people want to dominate in. We're in SEC country. We're in football country. You want to be winning the East if you're the Vols, and you want to be, competitive if you're Vandy, but that's a different matter entirely. Here you have two dominant teams in the same sport, in the same state, and they're both going to the College World Series. I don't know how it can be better than that. So yeah, you're gonna have to sit through some Vandy talk if you're a Vols fan, and if you are a Vandy fan, we're gonna have to give credit where credit is due to the Tennessee Volunteers, because they're absolutely kicking ass right now, and beating LSU was hugely impressive 5 times this year, not just the 2-0 super regional sweep. 1-2 pitching is better than 1-9 hitting, though, says Danny. I mean, I see what you're saying, Danny, but I'm honestly, if you're asking me to pick between hitting and pitching, I think the pitching is so far superior. And maybe that's biased because of how I watch the pros and how much more dominant, and the pros are going through their own situation with I don't want to call it, it's not PEDs what they're using, what pitchers are using right now, but baseball's going through yet another scandal about cheating, for lack of a better term, with the whether it's rosin, suntan lotion, various kinds of goop that pitchers are using in the pros. But anyway, I don't want to get distracted. I think pitching is the better tool. But you have to be able to score, and the Vols do that in spades. I am 100% Vol, says RTR, but Vandy has to be the favorite. I think 100% that is so. Texas just scored. El Boogie is keeping us up to date on the Texas game, because of course they would be in the Vol side of the bracket. 2-1 South Florida right now. Only one can win, Buck, and it's the Vols, says M. Wakefield. Now, listen, I appreciate the confidence. I'd be feeling cocky as hell if I was a Vols fan. And a well-used term, goop, says Zane Dickens. Yeah, I look for new words every day, Zane. I'm talking a lot, so if I can find any ounce of creativity, let it be in my vocabulary. But I think Vandy, we can largely find consensus outside of M. Wakefield. I think that the Vols are hugely impressive, but it's got to be Vandy if you're going to be favoring either of these teams to go out and win the College World Series now that they are both on their way to Omaha. Let's wrap up this show on a Sunday night, and you can enjoy some college baseball and keep tabs of who your teams are going to play. Let's do this is a free site, the best thing that I saw on the internet this week. And I think you might know, if you were watching the post-game Vols baseball coverage, you may know what this is about. This is a free site. Is John Fulkerson the biggest celebrity on UT's campus right now? Let me know in the comment section on Facebook Live, on Periscope, on YouTube, and on Twitch. Oh, Brian just said Texas tied it up. This is spicy. I want to watch college baseball now. So we'll do this as a free site, and then we'll release you guys back into the sports universe. Is John Fulkerson the biggest celebrity on UT's campus? Let me know in the comment section on Facebook Live, YouTube, Periscope, Twitch. While you guys do that, I will remind you about our friends at Brymac Mechanical, Brymak. That's Brymac.com. Satisfaction guaranteed on each and every one of your HVAC needs. Commercially, they can hook you up. They can improve your air quality with ductwork as well. Residentially, they make sure that you're in your comfort zone as the seasons now are very much upon us. It straight up felt like a steam room outside in Nashville, Tennessee today. You want to make sure your HVAC, your AC in particular, is functioning at a high level. Brymac Mechanical, Brymak, Brymac.com. All right. Who is the biggest celebrity on UT's campus right now? Puka just flat out says no. Texas up 3-2. Okay, so this is, I'm telling you, Texas is a really good team. Walter Williams says Tony V. Fulkerson, Folk Smash says Jordan Estrada. He's the biggest celebrity on UT's campus. So now, yeah, I think there's a lot of love. There's a lot of goodwill for John Fulkerson at the moment. My friend Madison Blevins, who's a sports anchor down at WBIR, she was doing a live shot with one of her reporters down on the streets amongst the people after the Vols won in dominating fashion, 15 runs on LSU today to advance the College World Series. And they had a bit of a pop-in at this point. Actually, Drew Gilbert is second, says OG Spacky. That's pretty good. I like that a lot. Definitely Fulkerson, says David Arnold. Go Vols. Man, you guys are the Texas score is changing rapidly. It sounds like South Florida having some errors. But who is the biggest celebrity on UT's campus right now? I think it has to be Fulkerson just by default because he's been around so damn long.
Tennessee players, Jake Rucker had 2 home runs. Like you mentioned, Tennessee baseball was really in control. We got a fan coming in. Oh, we got Folky. What's up, Folky? How about that win?
What are we doing? It's Folky. It's Folky. Well, somebody came up behind me and was like, hey, can I jump in here? And I was like, no, you cannot. But it's Fulkerson. He can do whatever he wants. So how are you feeling right now, man?
Man, so excited for the Vols baseball team. That's what I'm saying. Vols baseball, man, we're going to Omaha. It's such a good atmosphere. Vol Nation's the best.
I tell you what, you coming back to Rocky Top seemed like it turned the whole thing around here. We're welcoming you back for sure, but to see the success of your classmates right now, what does that feel like?
Man, I mean, it just makes you proud to be a Vol, and Vol Nation's deep out here. We got the best fans, and it's amazing. We're going to Omaha. Coach Vitello and his team, they're playing great. Let's keep it going.
I'm gonna tell you right now, you too tall to be coming up behind me.
All right.
I'm gonna tell you that right now. But it's good to see you. It's good to see you. Madison, like I said, everybody out here is happy unless you're wearing purple. Tennessee, all over LSU. They are going to Omaha, and they'll be facing either Virginia or Dallas Baptist. That series is tied at 1-1, and they will play for a ticket to Omaha on Monday.
Well, you can't write it any better than that. Tennessee basketball power forward star John Fulkerson making it on WBIR to just express how excited he is for Tennessee baseball punching their ticket to the College World Series. It's going to be exciting.
That's courtesy of WBIR, our friend Madison Blevins, and everybody's favorite Vol at this point, John Fulkerson, making an appearance. OG Spanky says Fulky is so Tri-Cities, it's not even funny, man. He cracks me up. He is a volunteer through and through. You're too tall to be coming up behind me, says Jordan Estrada. Yeah, listen, honestly, that reporter handled that really, really well. Bretson points it out on Twitter. Props to the reporter for not flipping out when somebody grabbed him from behind. Buddy, if I was, I don't really do live hits anymore. I don't do like stand-ups like that. Except, sometimes we'll do them from training camp practices where Austin or Zach will be sitting in studio and we'll be out there with our setup from the practice field. But if Taylor Lewan, for example, came up and like put hands on me whilst doing a live shot, I would not handle it as well as that reporter just did. So 100% you are correct. Props to the reporter for keeping us cool. And then I thought getting right back into the information of it really, really smoothly. That's broadcast mechanics to a T, baby. Mwah, chef's kiss. Love to see it. All the feels down in Knoxville and in Nashville over the course of the weekend. Dorina says on Twitter, roses are red, Arkansas is blue. I guess calling the cops didn't end very, very well for you. Go Oma Vols. Oh, goodness. Y'all are a trip. I hope you're excited, whether you're a Vandy fan, whether you're a Vols fan. If you are a Tennessee college baseball fan, it is a good weekend to be you. The national championship could be an all-Tennessee affair. That's wild, 100%. I am excited. I am incredibly excited at this point. I'm absolutely rooting for it. You'd handle Compton though, says Zane Dickin. Yeah, but I'm for better or worse at this point in my life, I am physically bigger than Will Compton, which is not something that I care to admit. Thanks again, Buck. And don't forget, the Vols are going to Omaha. Well, so is Vandy. Everybody relax. Everybody's getting to go. Participation trophies for everybody at this point. But congratulations to you, whoever you are, whether you are a fan of either team. It will be exciting to watch, and it cannot get here soon enough. I'm going to let you guys go a little early tonight so you can watch the rest of the college baseball and see who these two teams will be squaring off against. I will talk to you tomorrow on primetime, 8 o'clock Central Time or thereabouts. Radio show tomorrow on 104.5 The Zone. Mike Wilson of the Knoxville News Sentinel will go over the Vols in depth. We will talk about Vandy. And for those of you who have been peppering me in my Twitter mentions, we'll also get to John Robinson's picture on the boat, on Percy Priest, on his phone, and what it absolutely does not mean. That tomorrow from 10 to 1 on 104.5 The Zone. And then primetime after that. More great content coming to you because Titans training camp, Titans mini camp begins as well before the NFL and me go on vacation. And I'm not at vacation just yet, so that I can't be tired yet.